I've got birds and either dogs or coyotes trying to tell me it's time to get up. It's just after 6. I had a good night's sleep. I was warm enough. But I'm going to take my time, get up, have breakfast, coffee. Hopefully the sun will be over the horizon soon to warm me up. And then it's about 14 miles, I think, to Mary's house today. Good morning. I'm finally on the trail. It's about 7:30. There was a sudden cold snap just before I left. I had to put my gloves on. My fingers were just not working. I think it's the cold before the heat. The sun's just coming over the horizon, glowing on the mountain beside me. But here we go. Here's the start of the day. It's always so pretty this time of morning. The sun glowing on everything. Everything that you think is evil in the afternoon as it tries to snag you. It's a trail so overgrown. It looks beautiful in the morning. This is a fun part of the trail to walk through. It's just winding through these bushes, and everything is so green and golden in the daylight, in the dawn. It's great temperature. It's warmed up significantly from just half an hour ago, and all's good. But somewhere up there is where I came down last night, climbed up the mountain and then down through that valley, and I camped somewhere up in there. But it's so green and so lush with all these bushes and brambles and sticky things. But it's just beautiful. It's so nice to be out where you can't see any roads or houses or hear cars or traffic or sirens. So you can never believe anything I say, because just a minute ago I was exclaiming at how remote and beautiful this nature was. I turn the corner and there's one, two, there's another one around the corner, 3 houses out here, and there's roads. There's another wide open view of Anza. In the far distance, the San Jacinto Hills, Desert Divide, which somehow, some way, I'm hiking towards. You might be wondering where you sleep at night, but generally, just walking down the trail, you'll spot campsites that other hikers have cleared out already. See, that one's nice and flattened out. You can see all the spare rocks that they use to keep their tie downs for their tent in place. Some places you'll see many sites like this one, and it's likely to be listed on the Guthooks app. There's a beautiful one right there in the shade, nice and flat. Oh, and there's something behind it, maybe a little guest room. And sometimes you'll just see one little spot all almost lonesome that probably isn't listed. So generally, there's more places to camp than you think. Saying that, there's also Murphy's Law. And when you really want to find a campsite, you probably have to walk miles until you do find one. And the hike so far has been really pleasant. These gentle ups and downs with lots of soft ribbonwood lining the trail. Opens up to some views now and again. starting to get warm. The cool breeze of the last 2 days is missing. So I'm hoping to get a couple more miles in before it gets too hot, because there is a climb up to Mary's place. I just put my pole down on the head of a snake on the step, and I guess I better go now before he wants to come out again and get me. Ah! He was a dark snake too, so I don't know why I didn't see him. He was coming out of the grasses. Whew. Okay. I've seen them before, and I just assumed it was someone dragging their trekking pole. But look, it goes right into that hole. I bet it's a snake hole. Gotta watch out for those. Well, 5 1/4 miles in, I've seen more snakes than people so far. Another intersection. Oh, here's a turnoff going down to Tool Spring. And then another 14.7 miles to Highway 74, which will be my destination for tomorrow. I've heard there's a steep return coming up from the spring, and they suggest to leave your pack at the top. That explains why there's all those beautiful cottonwood trees in that valley down below. If there's a spring, must be a good constant source of water. I again have plenty of water, so I'm continuing on. So for those of you who don't know, these are ribbonwood bushes, and they have quite a nice soft green leaf to them. But why they're called ribbonwood is for the peeling bark. You can see how it comes off in long strips. Ergo, ribbonwood. That's about all the flora knowledge that I have for you today. One more tidbit. This is the Manzanita Tree, which has the amazing bi-colored bark. Soft and really twisty and gnarly and absolutely glorious when it's wet. And they have fruit, which this one doesn't, but they bloom and they have fruit, and the coyotes like to eat the fruit apparently, and so you'll often see their berry infused scat all over the trail. The landscape has changed. Entered a drier zone. There's a lot more cacti. Still lots of ribbonwoods and manzanitas, but you can tell it's more arid. That's a granddaddy of a barrel cactus. Huge. And here's the family. A barrel cactus, all looking very well watered, nice and plump. I've gone about 7 1/4 miles, so I stopped for a break. I also am having a bit of a car boot sale, or so it looks. It seemed to be a little bit moist this morning when I woke up, and so I just wanted to air up my sleeping bag, my tent, because the previous night had a little bit of condensation on the walls. I've got my jacket and my little down blankie also airing out. I had just stuffed everything willy-nilly into the pack, so my pack was huge. But once it airs out, I'll tighten it all up in nice little balls and stick it in all in its place and have everything a bit more organized. I feel like I'm crossing no man's land. Came down out of the kind of rolling foothills of that mountain just after Mike's place. And it's flat and sandy here. And there's hills in the distance. So I think I've done all my descent and probably just ascent left in the day. These are double-decker flowers. I don't know what they're called, but that's cool. I believe that's a mountain that I came down after Mike's place last night. So I camped just below that, somewhere maybe in their area. And this morning I walked all this way, which astonishes me. Not necessarily how far you can walk, but visually how far it looks. This is the old cistern that I think some people still use if they're really short on water. Someone's obviously had some campfires here in the past. I don't know the history behind it, but this is the water catchment area, and people have broken through. Be careful. And down. Oh, there is water in there. It's kind of murky and icky looking. But if you're desperate, you could filter that. And I put bleach in it just to disinfect, but it's drinkable. It's been rolling since I left that no man's land. Ups and downs. I'm kind of tucked in here between this valley, a little gorge. Pretty, with lots of pine trees and boulders and all kinds of cool things to look at. The sun is warm. The handy dandy thermometer says 80. Of course, the sun feels a lot warmer than that. But there's moments of breeze, which is refreshing. There's some homes up on the ridge there. And the PCT cuts right across there in the middle of that hill. And it goes up and over. Just a few moments ago, I had a butterfly land first on my shoulder and then on my arm. And then I realized that my shirt is almost the same color as a cactus. So maybe my trail name should be Cactus Blossom. Though I bet my mom would prefer to call me Prickly Pear. I've just passed 10 miles and I must say I'm glowing just a little bit. It's a little bit warm. There was a big ascent there and the slight breeze can't combat the heat and the incline. So I'm gonna look to find a rock for lunch, hopefully within the next mile. A rock with shade. Oh, and just let you know the count is still one snake 0 hikers. I'm naming this Beluga Rock. Even the backside could be whale-shaped. But underneath its companion here is a little spot with even a backrest, and that's going to be lunch. So I found a perfect spot behind my rock. I've got my pat behind me so I can rest against it. Got my shirt and my socks and my shoes air drying. Got my lunch, which is the black bean mush, which is actually really tasty. The tortillas, water and chips, so life is good. The count has changed. It's now 3 hikers to 1 snake. I can't think of anything to say, but here's a trail. It's warm, very small breeze, but the views are dynamite. That's all I can say. Something has taken a couple of bites out of that very prickly cactus. Heart rock. Love you, Mom. Now, I don't know what that person does with their home, but just an FYI to future PCTers, if they happen to see this, is that there are a lot of grow-ops in this Anza area growing illegal marijuana. So just a word of warning, they're not friendly to trespassers. So don't go thinking you can knock on their door asking for a glass of water. The trail has basically been paralleling this road. You see the telephone pole there to the side. But it's going in the most serpentine route possible, adding a lot of extra bonus mileage to a hot, long day. It's fun, because you never know when you're going to make a turn. Here we go again. I don't know how they planned this route. Here I am at the same road. Crossing the road. I'm going up this way. Luckily I have another ½ liter, but it's hot. The sun is directly overhead. It's about a mile and a half left to go to Mary's. You can see I've come through all this area. Back down there, that's the grow up that I mentioned. And the trail goes right over that saddle in the middle. And it was a long, steep uphill on the other side of that. So I'll be glad to get there. This is a beautifully maintained trail. There's barely a rock out of place. It's nice and wide and sandy. There's been no brush to walk through. It's great. I don't know who maintains it. I'll ask Mary if I see her. He's not a snake, but he's as ugly as a snake. Aren't you? You see this? And you don't notice, but it's a sharp turn left to go down to Mary's place. So I've made it.
Are you going to Iowa while to Highway 74 today?
Walt Whitman. John Muir and Henry David Thoreau. I guess Mary is into her literary figures. There's a lending library right here. And a PCT hiker logbook. Got my tent set up. There's some more people have arrived. That's Pierre right there hiding. Say hi. That's Flamingo. And that's one of the brothers setting up tent. And Pierre is my neighbor tonight. That's me. Still figuring out how to pitch the darn thing. Still flapping, but I have earplugs tonight.